while I do think that kids should not attend hypersexualized events, not all drag shows are hypersexualized. There are very sexual drag shows, that's a thing. So if somebody wants to be like, then what's this, and show me a clip of a drag show where sexual things happen, no, I admit it. There are drag shows that should not be seen by kids. Fox News has some stuff that they want to go ahead and talk about. Apparently, there's anti-religious bigotry in Nebraska, which, you know, that seems interesting to talk about. Let's go ahead and talk about that. But first, we need to get to the fan art section. So the first bit of fan art we have here is very stabby. This one's from Mr. Muxzy. Chibi Knife Suris. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Muxzy. The next one we have here is from The Padded Nomad. A jigsaw puppet Suris playing with a coin Suris. Got a bit lazy towards the end, but I still think it turned out well. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that all said, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's go ahead and get into the topic at hand. So the reason I wanted to pick this one from Fox News is I think that when you are looking at news articles, it's always good to know the bias of the news source that you are using. And we know that Fox News is very, very conservatively biased. So I wanted to see how they spin this particular bit of information. And what we have here is a title saying anti-religious bigotry. Nebraska Democrats amendment would ban kids from vacation Bible schools and church youth groups. Now, that's a very interesting title. That's what made me initially want to cover this. So let's go ahead and go into the actual subject matter and see what there is to see. A Democratic lawmaker in Nebraska is being accused of anti-religious bigotry by Republicans after she proposes to ban children from attending church youth groups or vacation Bible schools. State Senator Megan Hunt says in her amendment, which would ban children under 19 years of age from attending a religious indoctrination camp, is intended to kill the underlying bill, LB 371, which was a measure put forward by Republicans to ban minors from attending drag performances. The text of the amendment asserts that there is a well-documented history of indoctrination and sexual perpetration by religious leaders and clergy people upon children. It's a tongue-in-cheek response to Republicans who have said children should not be exposed to explicit sexual content in drag shows. Now, it's important to know the entire point of this is it is a bill that is made to showcase that the bill that was proposed by Republicans was not tenable, that the bill the Republicans were putting forward was basically an asshole bill by using the same language to make a bill that says, well, actually, your kids can't go to Sunday Bible school. Now, they still could go to church per the language of the bill, but let's go ahead and continue. Hunt Fox told Fox News, "This is an amendment I will use to make a point. It won't pass, and I would withdraw it if I had the votes to pass. It is a device to make a point. There is no need to worry." But then GOP lawmakers accused Hunt of, at best, not taking her job seriously, and at worst, displaying condemnable intolerance. Isn't that kind of funny? It's condemnable intolerance if the Democrat does it, but if the Republican does it, it's saving the children. Funny how that works out. Titan Uranus says the obvious compromise is to make drag queens Bible camp counselors. You know what? Yeah, let's do that. Anyway, rules for thee, but not for me. That's typically how it ends up going out. The bigotry she's shown here in this amendment, and perhaps her job, is a joke and is alarming, said a Republican state senator, Julia Slama. I just realized I made a Julie sound like a Martin. I second Senator Slama's remarks, said Senator Dave Merman. At least I got the gender right that time. Who introduced LB 371. That amendment is a great example of the far left's repeated attempts to demonize Christian patriots across Nebraska. Yeah, demonizing Christian patriots when literally all she's doing is taking your bill and throwing it in your face like a pie. Hunt's amendment states that abusers within church and religious institutions often use events like church and youth group sponsored camps and retreats to earn children's trust and then gain unsupervised access to children in order to commit sexual abuse. That is true. We've literally seen that happen over the course of several years. The Catholic Church is one of the ones that that is most notable for that type of bullshit. It defines a religious indoctrination camp as any camp, vacation Bible study, retreat, lock-in, or convention held by a church, youth group, or religious organization for the purpose of indoctrinating children with a specific set of religious beliefs. The text mimics the underlying bill, LB 371, which Slama said keeps kids from attending, quote, hypersexualized events. Well, so while I do think that kids should not attend hypersexualized events, not all drag shows are hypersexualized. There are very sexual drag shows. That's a thing. So if somebody wants to be like, then what's this? And show me a clip of a drag show where sexual things happen. No, I admit it. There are drag shows that should not be seen by kids. Duh. But then at the same time, there are plenty of drag shows that are perfectly fine for kids to see. After all, you're literally just watching a bunch of people dance and perform in costume, which, last I checked, is not any different than anything that kids were watching on Bugs Bunny like fucking 50 years ago. LB 371 would prohibit anyone under 19 from attending a drag show and would prevent those under 21 from attending if alcohol is served. Alcohol happens to be served at restaurants and people under 21 can go there. That's kind of dumb. The bill defines a drag show as when a performer exhibiting a gender identity that is different than the performer's gender assigned at birth engages in singing, lip syncing, dancing, or otherwise performs for an audience for entertainment. It would make it a misdemeanor to knowingly bring a minor to a drag performance. Wait a minute, but hold on. That is not a drag show. There are plenty of drag performers who won. Okay, so this is just saying that if their costume, if the things that they are wearing is of a gender identity different than their gender assigned at birth. Okay, but here's the problem with that. There are plenty of people who just happen to be trans and might go and, let's say you have a trans guy, goes on stage and dresses as a dude, as they would as a trans guy, and then engages in singing or lip syncing or dancing or performs for an audience for entertainment. Is that now drag? No. Drag is a specific type of entertainment. It is a specific type of show. It is not any show where somebody who just happens to be trans is performing, because that's what's being described there. Said it's almost as if the people writing this bill don't know about the world and, most importantly, don't give a shit about the world. Yep. Said, yeah, there's a lot of cis women who do drag, who will dress in the same type of overexposed dress that you associate with a drag show. Not overexposed, like, sexually, but overexposed as in the dress is exuberant, the dress is big and large, and meant to be seen from several feet away. So this feels like a bill specifically aimed at trans people. Well, that's what the drag story hour shit has always been about, right? Like, all of the anger about drag shows and drag queen story hour and all of that, it's always been aimed at trans people. It's never been about the drag specifically. It's always been a way to attack trans people and using drag queens as the scapegoat to attack trans people. That's all it is. Q Darkheart says drag is just hypergender performance of any gender. Yep. So they never cared about drag until they started their trans hate campaign. Yeah. Same with productions of Peter Pan. This literally would mean that old school productions of Peter Pan that used female people to portray Peter would be bad, because they are showcasing a person that is performing a gender identity different than your gender assigned at birth. This is fucking purity shit. That's what this is. This is purity shit. Business or nonprofit owners who host drag shows could face a misdemeanor charge if minors are present and could be fined $10,000 for each violation. The goal of of LB 371 is to allow our kids to be kids, not collateral damage of the woke agenda, according to Slamma. Hunt's amendment strikes reference to drag performers and replaces them with religious indoctrination camp, imposing the same penalties on individuals and businesses that permit children to go to youth religious activities. Hunt says she's introduced similar controversial amendments that aren't meant to pass, but rather are intended to illustrate her opposition to harmful or discriminatory bills like 371. For instance, to oppose a bill that required DNA collection of anyone accused of a crime, Hunt filed an amendment that required DNA collection for anyone who submits an application for a concealed carry permit. They aren't meant to pass, says Hunt. They are meant to help kill harmful discriminatory bills like LB 371, which, if we are forced to debate in the full legislature, will truly be a waste of time for Nebraskans and for lawmakers. Part of my job here is to work to pass or block bills that I support or oppose. This is just what happens in the course of that work. LB 371 is co-sponsored by 9 Republican lawmakers and has been scheduled for a committee hearing. In addition to her amendment, Hunt filed a motion to indefinitely postpone the bill from consideration. The ACLU of Nebraska has said that the bill is unconstitutional as of the First Amendment. So let's call this what it is, an unconstitutional censorship attempt rooted in a coordinated national effort to push LGBTQ people out of public life, said Jane Sue, ACLU and Nebraska Legal and Policy Counsel, in a statement issued after the bill was introduced earlier this month. Drag is a visual expression and creative celebration of LGBTQ culture. It has been a part of the creative community for centuries, and this bill would have far-reaching implications on the historical tradition of artistic freedom. All ages shows are protected the same as any other artistic performance. Yeah, again, this is a bill meant to strike down any drag performance, and per its language, any performance including a trans person, basically. But in so doing, they're basically saying that anything like that is adult. But again, there are kids-friendly drag shows. There are shows that just have people dressed in drag performing over-exaggerated gender performances. Photometric says, there's that word again, woke. So tired of people using that crap to justify this shit. It always ends up being that. Somebody will grab that term and go, aha, this is part of the woke liberal agenda. We need to stop the woke people from doing shit. It's gross and disgusting every single time you see that word, because you can tell that really when they're using the word woke, they're meaning anything that is, pro-black people, pro-minorities, pro-LGBTQ people. That's what that word really means to most Republicans. Now, they'll try to say, we don't like it when they shove it in our faces. Okay, cool, but cis white people have been shoved in people's faces for a long time, and as a cis white person, that's fine. It's okay, because it's not shoving cis white people in your face for cis white people to be on screen. Likewise, it's not shoving black people or trans people or gay people in your face by having those people on screen. It's just having people on screen or on stage. That's what it's always been. So I can never stand the word woke is used by right-wingers. Like, the word woke began as a word that was utilized in black culture to mean anybody who was tuned in to the idea of systemic racism and the forces that are being used against their marginalized communities. That's where the word came from. The appropriation of it to mean literally anything vaguely left-leaning is agitating, to say the least. Sam says it's funny because if you ask them to define it, it's hard for them to define it. It's hard to define it in any negative way. I asked my anti-woke brother to define woke, and he said someone who's aware of social issues. Yeah. Oh, that's literally what it originally was supposed to be. You're aware of social issues. The original social issue being systemic racism. In terms of how that word has been used. Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who. Republicans dispute this claim and say that LB 371 mirrors language that keeps minors away from strip clubs. GOP lawmakers in other states like Arkansas have advanced similar bills with similar arguments. We set laws regarding when kids can drink, attend a club, vote, join the military, drive, blah, 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 blah. I think a sexualized performance like a drag show is definitely something Nebraska should prevent child attendance at. Again, there's a difference here. There are child-friendly drag shows. There are not child-friendly strip shows. there's not child-friendly alcohol drinks. Like, unless you count cold medicine, but at that point, if you abuse it the same way you would a drink of alcohol, then you're no longer treating it like a medicine or how it's intended. Strip clubs do not have child-friendly performances when they are operating as a strip club. Drag shows, on the other hand, can be operated in a child-friendly manner by simply focusing on the expressiveness of the gender performance and not doing things like showing prosthetic boobs strapped onto a person's chest. There's ways to do it. Now, I find it when we go through Fox News and we look through here and we look at this, we look at the language. The language itself doesn't seem to be ridiculously leaning one way or another, at least in the written article. But that's probably because they don't expect most Fox News listeners or watchers to read the article, mostly because most people who watch and listen to Fox News can't read. So yeah, the only place a kid should be allowed to go to a strip club is in GTA. But when you look at the actual supplementary material used in the article, this is where I think you'll start to see the bend. So the imagery used shows youth participants dancing and singing in the Lighthouse Christian Center Vacation Bible School. So you see happy kids, child-friendly kids, and it's a picture that even shows a diversity of people. There's some girls in the front. There's a guy here. He happens to be black. There's another little girl here who is of a different minority group. I don't know offhand. And then there's some blurry ones in the background. Like, this is the perfect inclusive representation picture with kids in it, showing like the positives of being in Vacation Bible School. And then when you go down and you get to drag performance stuff, you get blurry pictures showing drag queen performers. Like, you show protesters outside, you show blurry, unflattering pictures of drag, and then like really, really blurring, unflattering pictures of drag. The actual text of the article does not lean one way or the other, but the supplementary material in the article definitely do. And of course, this is credited as from libs of TikTok. So we know where they're getting their sourcing stuff from as well. That's the thing that's interesting when you look at articles like this. You get to look at the language, and from the language's perspective, this is a very fairly written article to a degree. But then when you look at everything else, it's no longer a very fairly written article. It is no longer that. Said so many damn grifters. Yup. I blocked anything Fox except for the weather on my parents' TV. Let's all make the Tucker Carlson face. Jeebus. But no, this is why I wanted to look at the one from Fox News specifically, because there's things you can glean from the way the article is produced. And when the language is written in a very centrist-y, both sides way, a lot of people will ignore the supplementary material if they're trying to tell you that actually Fox News is fair and unbiased. They'll ignore the extra stuff that is purposefully added in, because they want to go, aha, do you see? When you use your liberal news sources, they are biased. But clearly Fox News is unbiased. Look at this. I can read it to you. But that's what I noticed from here. So apparently, contents of article, pretty neutral. Title of article, not neutral. Pictures used in article, definitely not neutral. Conclusion, not a misleading article, but obvious tact was used. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I've said pretty much all I can say here. I think that the actual item on hand, the actual conversation about these bills, Hunt made it pretty clear the purpose of the bill. The bill is made to show how superfluous and dumb the other bill is. And yet, Republicans are still mad about that. So there's not really a whole lot to say about that itself. But there is a lot to say about the way the article is made. But let me know in the comment section below what you think. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, everyone, insert end video tagline here.